Hello, welcome back to Happy Heart 1111. And today's topic is such that a majority of the males in our Indian society who will watch this video would get triggered because it talks about toxic masculinity, misogyny, and about unrealistic expectations of males when it comes to getting married. And I'm going to call out those unrealistic expectations which majority of the toxic males have when it comes to marriage or getting married. And if you have a fragile ego, please skip it because you wouldn't tolerate it. But if you really want to save yourself from getting disappointed, so it's better that you just gather some courage and watch it till the end because it would give you clarity and it would save you from wasting your emotions, your expectations, your time, your money, and also save your parents from getting disappointed because any of those expectations which you males have from your to be wife is ultimately going to be turned down, or you would feel disappointed in the end. So it's better that you know the truth beforehand and then you can decide whether or not you are supposed to get married or not. So let's dive deep into the topic, which is boys don't get married if. So, what are those if? Let's discuss. So, boys don't get married if you expect your wife to be like your mother or grandmother who sacrificed herself only to become bitter, sadist, and narcissistic in her later stages of life. Boys don't get married if your prime intention behind getting married is to satisfy your unsatiable desire for lust. Because any female is free to say no when she doesn't feel like being intimate with her life partner or husband because she's a human, she's not an animal. And in fact, animals also don't tolerate any forceful behavior. So how can you expect that a human being would agree to such unrealistic behavior from your side? Boys don't get married if you want a robot who obeys you and tolerates your misbehavior, because you might be a spoiled child, a mama's boy, a child whose every need or every command was fulfilled. But don't expect that a girl who has also been raised like a human being and has been cared for by her parents would be willing to fulfill every desire of yours or every command that would satisfy your ego. So just drop the idea of getting married if you think that in the name of a wife, you're going to get a robot who is there for fulfilling your expectations 24 by 7, 365 days, because she isn't a machine. She's a human and she gets tired and she has her own free will whether to agree for certain things and to disagree for certain things. Boys don't get married if you see wife as a lottery ticket to become materially well off through the expectation of dowry, which is illegal, but somehow our society has made it very normal, and it actually shows that it's not the females who are the gold diggers, it's actually the males who are the gold diggers, because you demand for a certain amount of gold, a certain amount of cash, a certain amount of material gifts to get married. So actually you people are the gold diggers, not the girls. So don't try to shift your blame to girls, because girls are already sacrificing a lot growing up because their parents think that it's better to invest or allocate the money in buying gold jewelry for their daughter's marriage rather than investing it in empowering her through quality education and through professional exposure. So you should be ashamed if you think that you are a man, but to get married, you need something in exchange from the girl and her family to tie the knot. And this shows that you are also incapable of taking the financial responsibilities after marriage, because a guy who is financially stable or well off would never demand for money from the girl or her family or anything in cash or kind to agree to get married, because it's the whole essence of masculinity to be a good provider, protector, and caregiver, and not a robber or a thief or a person who is there to trade in exchange for agreeing to get married to certain girl. So boys, don't get married if you believe that your wife is a machine to create only boy child, because that's not possible. That's not in her control. So that's a very very unrealistic expectation. You might just end up having only daughters, or you might remain childless, depending upon uh, both of your fertility aspect. But if you think that you have got married to a girl and she is somehow obliged and is bound to bless you with a boy child, then it's unrealistic and there's no such guarantee. So it's better you don't get married. Boys, don't get married if you want an unpaid maid servant at your house. Now, let me be clear. I don't mean that a wife shouldn't participate in the household management or in raising kids. What I mean is that a wife should not be expected to put all her efforts or invest all her time in serving the family members, or basically to act specifically like a servant at home. And if you have such expectation that your wife is supposedly the servant at home whom you don't have to pay every month, but because she's your wife, so whether she is ill, whether she is emotionally low, or she is not feeling motivated for any reason, she should be ready to work like a servant. In fact, if you pay the servant also to clean your house, to cook for you, or to do all those tasks which you expect that your wife should be doing by default, they would also just don't do it at some point or another because of their ill health or because they don't feel like doing, and they would not be ashamed of it even after charging money in exchange for those services which they agreed to provide at your house. So there's no reason or obligation on the part of your wife that just because she has married you or she is living in your house, so she is obliged to work as a servant, to clean your house, to cook, to do everything, even if she is unwell, even if she is unmotivated, even if she has some other important task which means a lot to her. So don't have such unrealistic expectation. If you have, just drop the idea of getting married. Instead, hire a servant who would be willing to do things because they have received the price for doing such things for you, and you can shout at them because actually they are not also going to tolerate your misbehavior or your frustration or your anger or disappointment when they don't work or they don't come to your place to clean your house or to cook for you. So the next one is that boys don't get married if you think your wife is not a human being with emotions, but rather she is a domesticated cattle or an animal, a dim witted person, a second class citizen, a inferior being who needs to be tamed because somehow the society has made you to believe that women are supposed to be controlled and they need to be directed, otherwise they just get haywired or they just get swayed away from the path of righteousness. So if you think like that, that you can be the master and she will be the servant or the slave, just forget the idea of getting married. You shouldn't be, because your expectation is going to be disapproved or it would be turned down, and it's of no use. So boys, instead of getting married, you should hire the professionals to fulfill all your needs. Need for lust, need for house management, need for the caretaking of your parents, and the need for your emotional comfort. So you can go to a therapist for your emotional needs. You can go to a brothel house for your lustful needs. You can hire a servant for your home management needs, and for the caretaking of your parents, you can hire nurse, doctor, or anyone who is expert in taking care of those cranky old people who have every reason and who feel they are entitled to complain about what is right, what is wrong, or how things should be and how things are not according to their expectations. So you can hire those people who can really satisfy your old, dependent, and narcissistic parents. You don't have to get a wife, you don't have to marry, you don't have to like put that much of effort, money, and that intention to get married, because wife is a human being with emotions, aspirations, opinions, and free will. She is not a computer program to function as per your command. So if you think that you are in need of a person or a character in your life who actually fulfills your fragile ego by obeying you even when you are technically wrong, or you are being unethical, immoral, unrealistic, it's better that you buy a robot, because all your unrealistic expectations would be happily, or if not happily, because robots don't have emotions, would be met without any complaints by none other than a robot. And we are in the era of artificial intelligence, so you would definitely find some company or some organization, maybe some organization of Elon Musk, who would fulfill your desire of being obeyed and being served without any complaints and without any excuses or without any expectations in reciprocation. So, boys, don't marry. If you have any of the mentioned criteria or expectations which I have discussed in this video, it's better that you stay away from this institution of marriage and you save the girls from being tortured, exploited, from being converted from a happy go lucky girl to a narcissistic, sadist, and frustrated woman. And also, you save girls from dowry and divorce, because ultimately, if you end up getting married with all your unrealistic expectations from your wife, you would end up getting divorced, and that would also put you in that uncomfortable position where you would have to pay her alimony or face all the allegations where she would accuse you of exploiting her, abusing her, or torturing her. So, why to make that kind of a mess or scene in your life? It's better. Boys, don't get married.